and welcome to a special edition. Now we are back and we are talking about the game that happened last night. We have Paul Dennett, the famous Australian podcaster from Sydney, joining us. Paul, welcome to the show. It's early morning out here. What do you make up of the situation last night that happened? What do you make up of the matches? Do you think the matches are getting really close for comfort?
I actually don't think they batted that terribly. I think that Sanju Samson made a good point at the innings break that they conceded about 15 or 20 runs more than they should have. And Gujarat having the advantage of Rahul Tewatia and Rashid Khan coming at the end to just add the icing on the cake. And their quick-fire runs turn what might have been a total of 195 into 220-odd. It's just so hard chasing that. We always talk about batting second. One of the advantages is you know how to pace your innings because you know how many runs you need. It can sometimes be a double-edged sword when it's a very big chase that the feel that you've got to be very, very aggressive right from the start kicks in. You know, you look at that wicket of Jaiswal and then of Nitish Rana. Before you knew it, they were 2 out. That shots that maybe if they'd been batting first or maybe if the total had been a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller, they mightn't have felt the need to play those early shots. And then from then on, for long periods, they kept up with the run rate. It was just the wickets falling. So I think ultimately they just got outclassed by a very, very good Gujarat Titans side.
Paul, the table is now split wide open.
No.
Do you see the newcomers in the team? Suddenly, we haven't seen them in the last 17 years at the top of the table in the initial part.
Shoulder,
and you've
chin,
never seen
position.
CSK, Mumbai Indians languishing at the bottom. What do you make up of the entire topsy-turvy nature of IPL this year?
Oh, undoubtedly. Yet again, Sai Sudarshan has played an excellent innings. He scored quickly. He stayed in. That's one of the keys that by having wickets in hand at the end, it allowed Shahrukh Khan, Rahul Tewatia and Rashid Khan to really accelerate. But fantastic innings, and he's deservedly getting all the plaudits. I do feel like I have to say that it was it did highlight the difference between Test cricket and T20. What happened though, because Jofra Archer at the start was superb. He beat Sudarshan, bouncer that went whistling by, half shout for LBW. In between, he's cleaned up Shubman Gill. He's almost taken Josh Butler's head off. And after 2 overs of that in a test match, as a batter, you'd be thinking, right, well, this is going to continue for a while. Instead, Archer, inexplicably, in my opinion, was taken off. It's as though captains think that if you ration the bowlers, you get more. You're only going to get 4 overs from them anyway. If they're bowling that well, seize the moment. Give him another over. Deshpande was brought on instead. Deshpande was brought on instead. Good player, good bowler. But the second or third ball that Shubman Gill faced off him, he just stepped inside the line and kind of eased him over fine leg for 6. He wouldn't have been playing that shot up against Jofra Archer. So I don't want to take anything away from Sudarshan. Fantastic innings. But it was pretty impressive stuff from Jofra Archer early on.
Hello and welcome to a special program of Cricket Predictor brought to you by 1xBet, Pubeki Infrastructures, New Delhi, NCR. Today we are here at the most exquisite cricket academy right at the upscale Emirates Hills. It's called the Dubai International. It's the sportive cricket academy right in the heart. And I've got one of the most eminent coaches in Dubai and UAE. Stanley Chiozza, the former bowling coach of the Zimbabwean team, a former youngster, played for Zimbabwe at his youth. Stanley, welcome to the show. It's always nice to have you on the IPL show.
Well, we've been together on the IPL show, but we haven't seen each other's eye to eye. So it's good to have you here in person finally at Sportive Cricket Academy.
I think we've broken the COVID jinx and now we are meeting face to face. Since the last year, since you were there on our panel, what do you make up of the growth of cricket in the heart of UAE? You've been here for some time.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing is certain, they do have numbers. Okay, obviously it's quite a narrow and big growth in cricket, especially with regards to the numbers is concerned. I know the ECB has made a massive effort in trying to get cricket academies aligned with one another, trying to align them with their vision of making sure that there's cricket happening from the grassroots.
Right.
Sportive Cricket Academy itself is involved in the Under-16 League. This coming season, we're looking to be involved with the Under-19 Academy League also. And this is all being organized by the Emirates Cricket Board.
Well, suddenly you seem to see the focus and the fulcrum. The focal point has become this part of the world, the UAE. What makes it so special?
I think it's central. I think that's the key thing. If you're to travel, I think it's one flight to anywhere in the world from
Yes.
from the UAE, and to be more specific, Dubai. So this just kind of helps with regards to travel itself, and more so with regards to facilities. I think you have some fantastic facilities here.
Well, absolutely. We have facilities. We also have an exciting match coming tonight between Delhi Capitals and you've got the RCB. Remember, RCB and Delhi Capitals haven't won anything in the last 17, 18 years. And we've had this private joke going. Whenever we are watching the match, we know it's an inconclusive thing. What do you make of the sudden turnaround of both the teams?
Well, one thing is certain. If you then look at the build-up of the teams, each of these teams have gone out and done some soul searching. They've had to release some players, some massive players. I mean, who would have thought that somebody like a Glenn Maxwell would ever leave RCB? But some big decisions have been made.
Yes.
It's important that some of these teams take a new drive into the future, trying to blood in that new youthful exuberance, and then you combine that with the experience of the Virat Kohlis. It's only key that you give opportunity of someone like a Virat Kohli to groom the youngsters.
Well, absolutely. We have Virat Kohli who's grooming the youngsters. But what do you make up of the Lion King, the Chennai Super Kings, the old Warhouse, someone who's coached, mentored, looked after the team for several years? We're talking about MS Dhoni, 44 by the end of this IPL. Do you think it's time that the writing is on the wall?
I think the writing has long since been written, Sunil. I think it's time for Chennai Super Kings to head in a new direction, a new era. Get somebody young, even though they're not doing well at this moment in time. I think this is the perfect opportunity to get somebody, given enough game time, as it were. They did that very well with Shivam Dube. He hasn't obviously lived up to expectations, but he did show signs of what, if you're given time, if you're groomed within experience, what can happen. They need to find somebody who can be responsible for that finishing job and, importantly, that wicket-keeping job.
Well, we're talking about the IPL. The show is called Cricket Predicta. We are live from the Sportive Cricket Academy at the Emirates Hills. Of course, it's the Dubai International Academy School here at the Emirates Hills. I've got Stanley Chiodza, the former bowling coach of the Zimbabwean cricket team, who's made this place his home. Do you like this place 12 months in a year, or is it only 8 months in a year, like all of us?
Well, for starters, I'm still to complete a year, so I'm still to see. I mean, I've heard stories about how the weather conditions here, especially summer, can be very harsh. But at the end of the day, I think the one thing that you're guaranteed here is you can play sports, especially cricket, throughout the season. There's plenty of evening matches and practice that happens.
I just want you to hold on your thoughts here. The evening matches, there's something which is unheard of, playing at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, the matches go on till 2 o'clock. What makes it so special?
The love of the game, for starters.
Right.
I think the people who are here, we're resident here, they love cricket. An opportunity to play it under lights is a privilege, and what makes it so special is the fact that the facilities here, Sportif itself have a fantastic ground at the Visions Cricket Centre, 4 senior grounds, all under lights. You can play anytime. All you need to do is just make a call and you get your ground, it's ready to go.
Well, that's a sales pitch. We'll edit that portion out. Not sure. So, but coming back onto IPL and cricket, which is more important, we've seen the bowling department, which is closest to your heart. Suddenly, the off spinners are the dying breed. The wrist spinners are the dying breed. What is the reason for it? Yet they get highly sold in the IPL auctions. Talking about Yuzvendra Chahal.
Well, I think the one thing you get from wrist spinners is they're genuine wicket takers. Why? They've got options. You've got your stop ball, and then you've got your variations back out the hand for wrist spinners. For finger spinners, it's a challenge. Why? You're only dependent on two major options. Basically, your off spin, which is your stop ball, and your arm ball. So on surfaces, generally like what we're experiencing in the IPL, surfaces that don't really assist spin, the ball just generally skids onto the bat. Whereas now, with the wrist spinner, the leggies, it turns, the googly turning back into the right-hander, there's a bit of options there.
When we were growing up, we had something called the flipper, we had the top spin, and we had, of course, the googly bowled in 3 different manner. I mean, there are tales which talk about Abdul Qadir used to bowl googly from 3 different, and we've heard it from the greatest of the greats, Lord Sunil Gavaskar and Mahindra Amarnath.
Well, the one thing about spin, Sunil, the one thing that people need to realize, even as coaches, when we're doing our coaching, natural technique takes a big difference. It makes a big difference in the development of a spinner. A lot of spinners who are taught become too orthodox. And then when it comes to the big leagues, they're not really skillful. They're not effective, as it were. But if you look at Afghanistan, for example,
Yes.
a lot of the spinners, they are self-taught. Okay, so biomechanics comes in, the natural talent, the natural skill of the individual comes in, and this is why you find there's so many spinners like Noor Ahmed, Rashid Khan, who has been very fantastic in the leagues around the world. This is why they're so effective. It's not about the coaching, it's about also allowing the personal skill to develop.
Well, we're talking about Cricket Predictor, we're talking about some of the great talents in the spin. Incidentally, the spinners that we're talking about, whether it's the Khans of the world, the Noors of the world, they've incidentally come and struggled at this part of the world and learned their repertoire from here. Would you agree that the competitive cricket here in UAE is far more aggressive as compared to the other leagues?
It's definitely aggressive, but what helps it to be aggressive is the conditions. Okay, the conditions are such that the wickets are not assisting spinners. In order for a spinner to thrive, in order for the arts to thrive, you've got to give that spin bowler an opportunity to bowl in conditions that assist the art to thrive. If you're going to be playing test cricket, you need your wrist spinners to be bowling in conditions that allow them to spin the ball. Hence, they learn how to control it. But if the conditions are such that majority of the games are now reliant on big sixes for the entertainment side of things, the wickets are now generally flatter and the ball is skidding onto the bat.
Well, for the statistically minded, the show is called Cricket Predictor. Just a quick glance on the number of boundaries hit in the entire 18 years of IPL. It's over 43,000 boundaries. That includes fours and sixes put together. That's a huge number. Does it make you sad as a bowling coach when you see those humongous figures getting out of the ropes?
Well, it does, honestly speaking, because I think the game seems to be one-sided. It's a batsman's game, as it were. It's either it's the batsman's game or it's the ones who are sitting behind the ropes, the fans. The fans want to see boundaries. They want to see big boundaries for that matter.
Well, this is Stanley Chiodza, the former Zimbabwean bowling coach, in conversation with us at the Sportive Cricket Academy in UAE, Dubai. In the second section, we're going to talk about the increasing art of fast bowling, the pace bowling, the variety, and especially another breed that has emerged in the last 5 years, which is your left arm pacers. Hello and welcome to the yet another edition. We are back again. We are from the Dubai International Academy at the Emirates Hills, and this academy is called Sportive Cricket Academy. Well, I've got the coach himself from the former Zimbabwean bowling coach. I've got an upcoming left arm seamer from UAE. Welcome to the show. We've seen emergence of left arm pacers as one of the most exquisite form of they're like the royalty of the game. Suddenly, when you look at the stats on the screen right now, there are the less number of boundaries they've taken more number of wickets, especially on the auction table. They're considered as royalty with us, the royal players. Now, in your assessment, are there 2 or 3 different deliveries that make them completely different?
Well, the specialty about the left arm seamer, and we're privileged also to have you with us today, is the options that they possess. And I'll just give you the number of options that they have just to a right-hand batsman alone. For example, we've got the one that angles away. You read?
So what is the seam position here?
Right. Instead of the usual, the way the fingers are along the seam, you just tilt it, as it were, away from the left hander, like the first, second slip kind of position. Okay. That's the one that angles away from the right hander, from over the wicket. And then we've got the one that swings back into the right hander. You read? Right? As you see, the seam position has changed. Instead of facing the first and second slip, pull it back in as if to find the kind of a position. And then what happens is through the air, it comes back into the right hand. And then we've got the scrambled seam.
Yes. That is something that our viewers want to know. What is the entire thing about scrambled seam? Because you've got more number of wickets in the last 3 years through the scrambled seam. So just help us demystify the scrambled seam business.
Now, the important thing about the scrambled seam, especially bowling on flat surfaces, it's one effective way to stop runs and or take wickets. Why? When you hold it across the seam like this,
just help us understand, like a bowler would, right?
So basically, in that position, when you hold the seam across, put your fingers across like you've got this, when it bounces, chances are it can hit the side, and when it hits the side, it skids on. So it actually rushes the batsman, okay? And then when it hits the seam or lands with the seam, what happens is there can be lack of bounce or it can pop up. So what it does basically is it just keeps the batsman guessing because he's not sure what's going to happen. And the important thing about the scrambled action, the scrambled seam, is you maintain your action. You don't even know it's coming until lack of bounce. You go to the analyst, you realize that they have across the seam.
Who, according to you, is the most efficient scrambled seam bowler in today's time?
Well, if you look at bowling, pretty much nearly with a left arm or right hand, when bowling cutters, you see on flat wickets, what happens is the seam, you can't feel it because it goes inside the ball, inside the loop. So for you to be able to feel the ball, you're better off holding it across it. So if you want to go cutters or take pace off, the slow ball bounces, you're better off holding it across it so you can feel the ball in your hand. So it's either left arm bowlers and right arm bowlers. They both feel comfortable holding the ball across it.
Also, when you're dealing with the left arm pacers, there's something called the angles, which make them all the more difficult for the batter to hit, especially at the end overs. What do you think is the angle does to a batter, especially when a bowler is coming pacing in that 140 miles per hour?
Like I said, we've got UV. UV has got the option to go over the wicket. And when we're now talking of creation of angles to a right-hander, we can ask UV to go from around the wicket. So instead of a right-arm seamer, where if you go from over the wicket, the ball comes dead straight to the batsman, especially in conditions that are flat, and there's no lateral movement. But if the left-arm seamer comes around from the wicket, because of the nature of his delivery, okay, he's coming from wide in the crease. For him to hit top of the stump, he has to angle it into the batsman. So what it means now is for the batsman, it's not just you planting your foot going forward. You have to think the amount of angle that's going to move into.
So would you look at the bowling, this kind of angle at on the last end of your delivery stride, or you prepared? I mean, can the batsman read you that he's going to come in and dip the ball in like in the old days?
Well, the thing about batting is lots of premeditation that happens. You can't really tell just how much, but you can have an idea of how much it's going to angle in by virtue of where the ball is landing. Some bowlers like to use the crease. Some will come closer to the stump. Some will go wider. The wider you go from the crease, the more you angle.
Well, that's all. You heard it from three of the best voices of the game talking about the bowling, the perils of officiating in a match where a left-hander is there. We also had a Uber coach from Zimbabwe who's currently in Dubai at the Sportive Academy talking about and demystifying the seam. And we also had young Yuvraj talking about the bowling stride and what goes inside the mind of a 19-year-old when he bowls to the biggest stars. This is Sunil Yashkalra signing off on Cricket Predicta from Dubai.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.